Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of T Angel's podcast. My name is T Angel Yong. I do podcasts about random topics and daily life stuffs. Also, random request podcasts. So, if you're a newcomer, please stay tuned for tomorrow and use the hashtag RRPTA, in capital letters, of course, in Twitter. Or go check out my Insta story to submit your requests. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Buzzsprout for updates or just some highlights. Also, make sure to subscribe my YouTube so you won't miss out any of the episodes. And if you like my content, make sure to give it a like. So, a few days back, me and my group of friends, we were kind of, waiting for a lecturer. And we started talking about how we learn Mandarin during primary school days. So, me and Jojo were from the same primary school, but Katrina wasn't. We actually met Katrina during secondary school. So, during primary school, the teachers actually taught us by learning the vowels and the consonants first. They did it by asking us to repeat these sounds: bo, po, mo, fo. That was kind of how we got the basics. But our Katrina didn't use that type of learning method, which we were kind of shocked. We then went to the app Lingodeer, which is a great language app. Go check them out. And we chose the Mandarin learning exercises. Of course, at there we found out that our teachers were right. Me and Jojo were learning the right way while Katrina wasn't. But while we were exploring, we found out there was a section called Survival Chinese. We got curious and we pressed into it. There we found out, basic phrases in Chinese so you could kind of survive being in China or speaking to a Chinese person. There were phrases like how to greet people, how to flirt, numbers, and even tools. However, when we started to pronounce the words accordingly using the pronunciations given, we talked like we were using another person's accent. And that was where I kind of found out that as Malaysians, we actually don't give a thing about pronunciations. We don't emphasize it to be precise. For example, we seldom differentiate the S and SH. Like, we emphasize more in the speed of our talking. For example, nice to meet you in Mandarin. It's basically 很高兴认识你. So you would notice there's like the SH there. But when we say it really quick, we just go like 很高兴认识你, and the SH is just gone. Therefore, let's talk about Malaysian type of multilingual then. Like I said before, we really don't give a damn to pronunciations. So it was quite easy to know that we aren't from like mainland China Chinese, but Malaysian Chinese. Besides from the example before, let's talk about my dad. So there's a word that he's really conscious about it, which is hot in Chinese, R-E, ro. To be honest, we can change the pronunciation of ro to Z-E, Z, or J-E, Z. This is because, like I said before, we emphasize on the speed of our talking. We speak really fast. Therefore, when that phenomena kind of happened between me and my mom, my dad started to emphasize the R. He often emphasizes it while talking about it in the car. Like, let's say when he's driving around. And he'll be like, okay, nowadays the weather is kind of hot. So, in Mandarin, it's basically like, 哇，最近的天气真的很热哦. He would emphasize the R-E, like 热. And I'm like, and the passenger seat looking at him like, 热. Another example of our great pronunciations is that we might add in a little of our mother tongue accent into English. No matter if you're Malay, you're Indian, you're Chinese, there is still like that possibility that your mother tongue accent would combine with your English. I had this like lecturer of mine once. He taught basic psychology, like the foundation for psychology, and he had such a strong accent of Chinese when he speaks in English. So most of our classes would be us guessing what he's trying to talk about, and like 10% doing our own stuffs. Because the lessons that he was teaching, we actually learn it during like foundation times. Yeah, we learned it beforehand. So it was, we were free to just close our ears and do our own things. But I remembered one of his class like really clearly when the whole class just went into like a family feud situation. So he was talking about behaviors and how to change them. And he suddenly thought about, if you behave well, you don't have to do chorus. And the whole class went silent and asked the same thing. What chorus? Because in our mind, by that time, we were thinking of like, song chorus, like, yeah, that type of chorus, chorus. And everybody was trying to guess what he was talking about until someone finally hit the golden bell. Did he mean chores? That was when every single one of us collapsed. It was a total family feud situation by then. Speaking of pronunciations, there was this one time when Katrina's mind kind of went fuzzy. There was this one time when me, Katrina, and our group of friends, we were just sitting around chilling. We were waiting for our next class, so we were kind of wasting time. Then a few volunteers were giving out brochures about an against sexual harassment campaign. And while we were studying the brochure, Katrina suddenly asked, "What's sighing?" I'm like, "What is sighing?" I looked at her for a while before turning back to my brochure and saw the words, "I'm saying no." I'm like, "Do you mean saying?" And she just flustered. She was flustered. She just kept saying sorry. Well, I laughed like what was going on, and I told my friends, we all just collapsed from laughter. Basically, we laughed like, I don't know, for a good 3 minutes at least. To be honest, if I were to choose one unique aspect about Malaysia type multilingual, I would like to give credits to our beautiful Malaysian slangs. Apparently, one of our lecturers once told us that researchers actually studied a lot about our Malaysian slangs. There were like 100 studies about us, even just the word lah. To me, if you get the hang of it, or you know a little bit of our Malaysian slangs, you're multilingual. A lot of our slangs actually comes from either a combination of languages or from dialects. I don't even know how Abuden came from, to be honest. Like, it just suddenly popped out and everybody was using it. Some examples of our great slangs from dialects, let's say, would be Bojio, which was extremely popular for quite a long time, but I don't know if it's popular now. I think it's like fading away. But still, yeah, Bojio is still a slang here. It came from the Hokkien dialect, and the meaning of it is did not invite. Yeah, something like that. So, you say this when someone goes and do something fun or interesting, and you want to go and do the same thing as well, or just go to that place as well. So, for example, your friend went to America and you want to go there as well, so you can comment like Bojio, like that. But there's another saying that contradicts the slang. which is Geo also never come. That means even if we invite you, you won't come. Geo means to invite, of course. So for Geo, bo means didn't or no. So thus the slang bo Geo, didn't invite. For an example for combination of languages, it would be be tahan. It's a combination of Hokkien and Malay. Be is from the Hokkien dialect, which means could not or cannot, while tahan means patience or to wait in Malay. So if you use be tahan, it means like you couldn't stand something. Like for example, you wanted to go to the toilet, you needed a break, so you could like say like, I really be tahan. That means you really can't stand it. You have to go to the toilet. Yeah, something like that. I remember our lecturers actually tell us that foreign students, they have like a hard time figuring out how our slangs work, because like even a word can change the sentence meaning. For example, la, lo, le, gua, etc. Everything can be used, and then the whole sentence just change its entire meaning. Let me just teach you a few. Let's take la, and we'll put can. You know, can, C-A-N. Yeah. So let's take la, can la. Yeah. So it means you can do it, but sometimes the la, it's used in a more sarcastic way, or someone is saying something you would definitely do, or you already know. For example, let's say you sure you can do this activity, then you can, if you're really confident, you can say can lah. Yeah, something like that. By using can lah, it means like you're really confident, or it's sarcastic. Yeah. Let's move on to a second example. Let's take law. So we're just going to put ya, Y-E-A-H, or Y-A. So it becomes ya law. It just means agree to something a person said. It's like the Korean word injong. Yeah. So an example here would be, wow, 17's visuals aren't joking around. And then you could, if you agree, you can say ya lo. Yeah. Promoting 17. Let's move on to the third example, which is ya ho. So the ho word, which is H-O-R, wow, H-O-R, it poses as a question, but sometimes you use it when you're unsure or suspicious. For example, like, don't worry, this medicine can kill you, something like that, when someone wants to sell you something. So if you're suspicious, you can say ya ho. Finally, a last example, let's take gua. So you can say like can gua, ya gua. So let's just use can. Gua means maybe, and I think it's from one of the Chinese dialects or just Chinese. When you use can gua, it means that you're not confirmed yet. You maybe can do it. So you can say like, can you make it on 12th December? So if you're not sure yet, if you're free on that date, you could say like, can gua. There you go. Some slangs for you to learn. That's why being fluent in Malaysia slang is enough for you to survive in Malaysia. To be honest, if you're born in Malaysia or raised in Malaysia, like you studied in Malaysia, you're destined to be multilingual, in my opinion. So hey, do you want your child to be multilingual yet study in another country? Try Malaysia! The reason here is because we're not only a multiracial country, but also we're a Commonwealth country. We were once ruled by the British, so yeah. Therefore, we have to learn both English and Malay. We have to pass these two. In my case, I had to pass 3 languages. which were Mandarin, English, and Malay, which was quite a stress for me for the past 14 years trying to get the best possible results. Since I was born to one of the three major races here, which is Mandarin, and plus the fact that my parents aren't bananas, bananas meaning Chinese people who couldn't speak Mandarin. Yeah, my parents aren't bananas. So I had to take Mandarin, as well as compete with my other siblings and cousins in terms of results. I remember having to take advanced Mandarin during secondary school. It was optional, but I can't forget my roots apparently, and taking an additional language and having it in my certificate, it might come as an advantage according to my dad. So as I took advanced Mandarin, I suffer from classical Mandarin and famous quotes. Like, no kidding, like joking all aside, imagine having to remember more than 100 quotes just to answer 3 to 5 questions. But to be honest, I just left that section empty. Because I just thought it didn't worth my time remembering all 100 quotes unless I remembered the right ones, which I consider myself to be lucky. I am so sorry, teacher. 老师对不起. And like for classical Mandarin, it was really quite a challenge since it was like reading in another language. But we just had to remember the meanings for each of the words and it will be fine. But I was definitely happy to learn Mandarin, as I actually had a funny incident which I kind of took advantage of my Mandarin. So as you guys may not have known, I'm a 17 fan. Yeah, I'm a carrot. Yay! So yeah, I went to 17's concert for the first time, which was last year, Ideal Cut in Malaysia. And that was my first ever concert as well. Yeah, in my lifetime. So I went there with a friend of mine, and we just had the time of our lives. We were like screaming, we were enjoying, we were dancing. It was great until the members, I think it was the ending speech. Yeah, it was by that time when things got a little bit weird. So, a brief introduction about 17. 17 is a Korean boy group. They have 13 members, 3 teams, and they work as a group. 13 plus 3 plus 1 equals 17. There we have it. But the 13 members, they don't only have Korean members, but also English members and Chinese members. So as they came to Malaysia, they kind of like know that some of us Malaysians understand Chinese. So they talk in Korean, English, and Mandarin. So there was this translator, of course, on spot. And she, I think it was a woman, she translated the Korean to English. Yeah, everything was okay. But up until Mandarin, the translator just stopped. And all of us were like frozen. Everyone was flustered actually. And as the members continued to talk, which is D8 and June, while they were talking in Mandarin, the audience who understand Mandarin, they were like, "Whoa, what I need? Yeah, I love you." Yeah, which includes me and my friend. But for those who did not understand Mandarin, they were having a hard time. Like I remember, there were a few that was scolding the organizer, I think, or the translator. But it was fine in the end, since I think it was just a miscalculation or something. But in the end, everybody enjoyed the show. What a fun time that was. So for English, in the other hand, I just happened to get A easily, as my writing was obviously better than my speech. So it wasn't quite a fuss to deal with. I mean, I'm still glad that my parents sent me to an English center to enhance my speaking skills, or I would have combined my Chinese accent. Well, I'm doing it. I even taught the children in the center after I graduated, just to earn some pocket money. The children there were definitely sent there as they relied too much on their mother tongue. So the number one rule there was students are forbidden to talk in any other languages besides English, or there will be forfeit. But I remember there was this student of mine when I was still working as an assistant teacher, and he was kind of like a child translator. Before I go on, just want to say that, yeah, the students I deal with are children. They were like 9 to 10. So, as you know, children can be either the sweetest angels that came down to earth, or just the most annoying monsters you could find. So, we had this spelling list for the students, and we as the teachers will pronounce the new words to them, and they repeat it back for us to, check their pronunciations. But there was during one class, when I was pronouncing the new words, let's say whistle, so I was like, okay, whistle, and then the kids were like, whistle, but then you could hear this student be in the corner be like, 吹口哨. I was like, what? Then I ignore him for the first time, and then doing the second word, holiday, and then I was like, holiday, and then the kids were like, holiday, and then the student obviously was like 放假. I think he said 放假, instead of 假期. But yeah, when he said that, my boss just glared at him. But yeah, also, if you don't know, we use the British English. So, like I said before during the example, I don't use vacation. We don't use vacation. We use holiday instead. But if you come to Malaysia and you speak to us in English, you would kind of find out that we actually use a mixture of American English and British English. Like, there are people who say aeroplane instead of airplane, or airplane instead of aeroplane. Or like, we use pharmacy, like the word pharmacy, instead of the chemist. Like, I don't know why, I just found out that the British apparently uses the chemist to refer to their pharmacy. But although I did found some sources saying that British did use pharmacy, but in Malaysia we use pharmacy 100%. I think it might be because that in Malay we actually pronounce it as pharmacy as well, but in a different spelling. Another example could be baby pacifier. You guys know that, right? The one that babies chew on when they cry. Yeah, that thing. When I learned about pacifier, I didn't know it was from the American. While in British English, apparently they call it the dummy for babies, which is, wow, that's a good name actually. It's illogical, but to me and my friends, we just call it the chichi or the chichu. The language that I had problem was, in those 3 languages that I said, was actually my Malay. Yes, the national language of Malaysia. Yes, I had problems with it. Since my neighborhood was kind of surrounded mostly like Chinese, Indians, and I speak Mandarin and English mainly in general, like daily life, I just use like Mandarin and English. My Malay was definitely going to fade away one day. But my parents, they had the greatest and like a brilliant idea on how I could enhance my Malay. So my parents happened to know that I was addicted to manga, like Detective Conan. Like literally, I was addicted to Detective Conan. After I happened to read one of its books in a doctor's house, if I'm not mistaken. So I wanted to buy the physical copies of Detective Conan, since by my time there was like no phones, no online version, yeah. So yeah, my parents allowed me to buy Detective Conan in physical copies, but they had one condition, which was I had to buy Detective Conan in Malay version. Yes, you heard it right. Not Mandarin version, not English version, not even the Japanese version, but the Malay version. So I had to compile, of course, they're my parents. I can't, I'm not such a bad child. So yeah. And in the end, while I was scripting, I just realized I didn't know how many books I own, like Detective Conan books. So I went to count every single one of them, and I have approximately 65 books of Detective Conan, excluding those which are missing. Yes, 65 books, and most of them are in Malay. You can check my posts on Twitter and Instagram for proof, by the way. Like, wow, after I counted it, I can't believe that I actually bought all of those. But don't you think my parents are like geniuses? They actually knew how to use my favorite thing and use it to enhance my Malay. So remember, future to be parents or parents, if you want to make your kids study, target what they love. But if I were to be honest, the books helped me more in casual Malay as they kept using short forms or Malay slangs. But still, it helped me a lot, or else I would have flunked my test. Besides these three languages, I had the opportunity to uh, learn a bit of dialects as well, since I was born in, uh, my parents are Chinese and I was born in a multiracial country, so there are a lot of dialects for me to learn. But the ones that I understand were Hokkien and Cantonese. So fact of the day, my mom is from the is from a Hokkien family, while my dad from the Teochew. I understand Hokkien, but I couldn't speak it. Like, I knew the basic phrases of it, but I couldn't recite a phrase that I heard a second ago. Like, literally, it's really frustrating, to be honest. As like, I get what my grandparents were talking about, but it's still a shame that I couldn't really talk back to them. Like, I wanted to say like goodbye or we're going home in Hokkien, but I couldn't, which was really, really, really frustrating. I couldn't like recite the phrase that I heard a second ago or a minute ago. Like the conversation that was going, I could translate it for you, but I couldn't repeat what they talk about, like the words that they use. Like, to be honest, learning dialects were harder than learning Mandarin for my brain. And my brain works the same as well to Cantonese. Cantonese is probably the most popular dialect used in Malaysia, and a lot of my friends actually speak it, so I was really exposed to it since primary school. I think it would come from those Hong Kong dramas. It's really popular in Malaysia, so that's why I think most of my friends, they started to use Cantonese, but I still couldn't speak the dialect as well. I I understand it, like I understand the context that you're talking about, but I couldn't speak it. And this really makes me feel a whole lot of guilty because I couldn't participate in a conversation that's going on. Kind of like I have the translate ability, but not the speaking ability. Well, for my dad's Teochew, I think he's the only family member that knows and understands Teochew and knows how to speak as well. Like me, my sisters, my mom, we can't speak Teochew. Although my dad did say like Teochew is extremely easy, which I couldn't quite relate to. Sorry, Dad. The last two languages that I finally learned is Korean and Japanese. Well, Japanese, I'm learning it, like I'm currently learning it. I just started learning it this year. Yeah. Well, I learned Korean a year ago. So like I know how to converse and write in Korean. But I think I would still be in the intermediate level. I'm not that fluent enough yet. So yeah, I'm still enhancing it. The reason for me to learn Korean was my addiction to K-pop. Yeah. I didn't watch any Korean drama, unfortunately. Like, since I couldn't find the time to chase it back then, like the studies were chasing up, so I couldn't find the time to watch TV or like chase Korean dramas. But my childhood was definitely influenced with a little K-pop. When I first got into K-pop, it was when Super Junior released Sexy Free and Single, if I'm not mistaken. I was really into the second generation idols back then, like Super Junior, Girls' Generation, B1A4, etc. I even witnessed like the debut of EXO. Yes, I witnessed the 12 members of EXO. Yeah. And like the era of Super Junior M even. That's how old I am, yes. But I think it was until 2014, 15, somewhere there. My studies just chased up to me. I couldn't watch any more TV. Uh I had to like, take a break from the K-pop for a while. And then that was when my emo period came in. Yes, when rock songs were the only songs that I have in my playlist. Like 5 Seconds of Summer, My Chemical Romance, Green Day, they just came into my life. That happened until 5 Seconds of Summer. They took their break during 2017. Yeah, around that. And I happened to hear about BTS from my friends. Yeah, they were talking about it. And since I don't want to be lonely or not being in a conversation, I decided to give K-pop another try. And that was when I found out 17. Yeah, their song Boom Boom caught my attention. I was also, introduced to like 101, BTS, GOT7, Blackpink, and many more. As I watched more and more of their variety shows, I started to chase 17. I started to, watch interviews of the idols, listen to their songs, music shows. I started to get the hang of how they speak, like the basic phrases and even the sentence structure. Therefore, I started my journey to learning Korean. In Malaysia, we actually have special tuition centers that teach Korean or Japanese. And I also just found that out like during 2017 as well. Yeah. But these tuition centers, they actually they have like a really expensive fee. Since I don't want to, further burden my parents, as I was starting to going to college, I just studied on my own. For those who are currently learning Korean or is interested in, please do go check out Korean Uni. Hanguk only, and Talk to Me in Korean. Korean only or Hanguk only was the first channel I watched when I was learning Korean. She explains very well, and she even relates it to their culture as well, which was really, really, really good. She also explains like Korean song lyrics by like singing the karaoke's. And yeah, if you're really interested in like the meaning of like a BTS song, yeah, go check her out. For TTMIK or Talk to Me in Korean, they provide online lessons as well as physical copies of their textbook and workbooks. I did see quite a lot of good reviews about their textbook and workbooks, although I didn't buy one. I had no money, my pockets were a little bit tight. But I learned using their podcasts on their websites. So, you could go check them out. They're really helpful. But if you want to learn in a funnier context, you could go check out Jolly channel. Yeah, Jolly. The Jolly channel is actually from Korean Englishman Yongguk Namja and Ollie. There's a playlist where Ollie learns Korean, and I can assure you it is absolutely hilarious. Like every single video that I watch in that playlist, I just laugh like I could gain abs from laughing from those videos. It's really interesting to see how the both of them kind of tackle Korean. So, if you're learning Korean or interested in it, go check out these channels. Links down below. A tip in learning new languages, of course, is to try find songs or hilarious videos regarding the language that you want to learn. It makes the learning process much easier since you get to observe how they speak. But if you want to just learn the writing system, you could just use the language apps since they introduce the formal or proper language or phrases before going into the casual ones. Speaking about language apps, while I was finding for new mobile games to play, I happened to stumble upon this game which teaches you Japanese or Korean. It's called the Japanese Dungeon and Korean Dungeon from Terry Young Studios. There are two different apps, of course, depending on which language you want to learn. I downloaded both. So they're pixel games, and like the name Dungeon, you act as the knight in shining armor and fight orcs by selecting the right pronunciations or translations for the question given. So the fact that they combine both the fun factor and the education factor, I think it's really cool, and that they develop a game like this, and it's really helpful since like there's even a time limit for you to answer it. So I guess it would really help in remembering new phrases. So yeah, I will link the games down below, so don't worry. A fun thing about Koreans, by the way, is this is what I happened to found out after my Korea trip, which I talked about during the first episode, is that they can be a little surprised if you can speak in Korean, unless you're in like districts where there's a lot of foreigners. Then they're not so surprised that you could talk Korean. When you try to speak in Korean, the first step they will be surprised. Then the second step is that they will start guessing your nationality. But none of them guessed mine right. Well, I mean, like I said, in Malaysia, we don't emphasize in pronunciations, which makes our accent quite unique. And we also have like a variety of skin colors. Like there's no like only one skin color for one race. So yeah, some of them guess we were from mainland China, since I taught Mandarin to my sister when we were in Korea. But there was one which guessed that we were from Singapore, and I was like, you were that close. On the other hand, Japanese, I don't know what happened. I just happened to have Netflix recently, and I started watching the animes that I miss. I watch One Punch Man, I watch Mob Psycho 100, I watch Assassination Classroom, Violet Evergarden. Yes, I know that was a sad anime. Yes, if you like crying animes, go watch Violet Evergarden. It's absolutely beautiful. I actually read their mangas already, but never had the chance to watch the anime. But here I am, willing to risk my sleeping time just to watch the series. I also happen to know about anime radios. I think that's what they're called, which is basically voice-over actors. They make a radio show for their fans. You can go check out My Hero Academia's radio show if you're interested. You can also go check out Kola TV. She does translations for these anime radios. So go check them out because the radio shows, they are absolutely funny. The actors themselves, they are really good in like ad-libs and all those. I just started, because of the constant animes, I was interested in radio shows. I fell in love with the language itself. I'm still in the beginner's level, of course, but an advantage of being fluent in Mandarin is that both Korean and Japanese are easier to learn since they have Sino-Korean and Sino-Japanese, which are words that sounds like Mandarin, and kanji, which made my learning process easier. However, there are of course difficulties learning it since I still can't remember the katakana writing system, and having to remember the kanji's pronunciations is one problem too. There are so many characters in the Japanese system since they have like three types of writing system: the hiragana, katakana, and kanji. So I could like forget a couple of them. So when Katrina is better than me in Japanese also, by the way. And when I asked her to help me, translate a word, and when she translates it for me, I forgot the some of the pronunciations. I would just stare at her with a blank face. Also, there is a serious side effect that I suddenly thought of after I learned my Japanese, after I started learning. It was the word desu ka. Yeah, like when you end a question, there's like this desu ka, right? Yeah, that desu ka keeps popping in my mind. I don't know why. I remember like I wanted to thought of a sentence. I think it was like a Korean sentence. I think, yeah, it was, yeah. I was like, I wanted to ask like, what were you doing? So instead of saying the casual mohe, I thought of mohe desu ka. I'm like, what the hell am I thinking of desu ka? Like literally, I even thought of do desu ka when I'm doing other things that doesn't relate to do desu ka. I was like, what is wrong with my mind? Getting addicted to desu ka. Well, side effect of a multilingual, combining two languages together in a sentence. Hey, I wonder if Malaysians had this side effect, and so the creation of Malaysian slangs. Yeah, that would be a factor. Anyways, if you have any confusion or just have difficulties in Malaysia slangs, feel free to, tag me in Twitter or Instagram, or even comment down below. And if you're planning to, send your kids to this beautiful country to study, please do. we're really friendly. We ain't gonna bite you unless you bite us first. Either way, wherever you were born, even if you only know one language, please don't be angry, and always remember that there's always time and a chance for you to learn new languages, and learning doesn't stop because of age. Remember that. As always, see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.